Hi guys, and welcome to my DIY channel. My name is Annalie, and in today's video, we're gonna be doing some awesome farmhouse projects, and I'm also doing a collaboration with a really cool company coming up. So this video is a compilation video of all of my farmhouse projects that I have done for the second half of the summer. I figured this would be a great way to end the summer to do a big compilation video of all of my farmhouse end of summer projects, and I'm doing a collaboration with FlexiSpot. All right, let's get right into it.
Okay, getting started. This is one of my favorite projects in which I have made. So the first thing that I did was I took a piece of 2" by 1" board that I just got from Home Depot, and we ran it down our table saw, and we didn't go the full length to cut the board in half. We just went a little bit with the saw to make a groove, and that worked like a charm. So you guys can see, I'll just kind of let you watch. Once we did that, I cut it up into smaller pieces. I actually used a Dollar Tree calendar as my shape for my size, and so then I just cut the sizes down to where I needed so that I had 4 sizes, because I'm going to be making a interchangeable Dollar Tree calendar frame where the grooves allow the calendar to come in and out. So you guys will see here throughout this process that I just do 4 sides to this calendar, staple it all together, and then the calendar can come in and out. And the point of this is that you can display the different pictures from the calendar throughout the entire year. So you can use this one frame and you can have 12 different things and just change it every month. As you guys know, one of my favorite things to do is staining, because I think it just looks rustic, farmhouse, pretty, it's easy, it's quick, it's fast. I do it outside so that it's not super smelly, and it's just one of my favorite things to do. So you can see that I got all of these stained. Here you can see the grooves in the wood, and I did do different sizes, and the top piece of this frame is actually just a little bit skinnier so that it looks like a regular frame from the front, but then in the back you've got that little spot so you can slide the calendar down in. So here you can see how it's almost put together. I've got all the sides on, the calendar slides right in those grooves that I cut with my table saw, and it was nice because it was just the size of the blade. And then that top piece is just a little bit smaller so that the back slides, but then it's flush with the front of the frame. And I just wanted to add a little bit of embellishment, so I just went ahead and I did a burlap bow. I did this project in the summer, so this is why I did this color greenery, but you can see that I put this in very, very lightly with just a tiny bit of glue so that you can change out the floral throughout the year. So for like fall, I could go back and put some fall floral in here, and for Christmas, I could put some Christmas floral in. For this next project, I am taking a piece of 1" by 4" board. This is all wood from the Home Depot, but it's just scrap wood from my husband's projects when we have been doing some renovations in our home, so this is just leftover wood. This piece of wood, however, is a pre-cut piece of wood that you can get from Lowe's. It's very thin. It's maybe 1/2 inch thick is all. It's pre-cut into a 4-foot section. It's a little pricey if you're looking at what you get. So you get 4 feet for like, I think it's like $3.50, whereas I can get like 8 feet in the other pieces of wood for a lot cheaper. But it's a very perfect thin piece of wood that's ready to go. So right here I'm going to be making some shelves. So I'm just doing the sides of the shelves. I cut these sides down, and then I ended up chopping off the corners at the top to give it a little bit of a, I don't even know what that shape is. A tag size shape, a tag shape. And then using my staple gun, I cut the shelves into 12-inch sections. So then I wanted 3 of them, and using this square, I went ahead and I measured the distance that I wanted in between each shelf so that I was making sure that I was putting them straight on each side. And then I just went ahead and I stapled them all together. And of course, I stained this as well. Once that was dry, I went ahead and I drilled some holes in the top right here, and you can see that after I drilled the holes, I went back in and I touched up the stain. But this is how I'm going to be hanging the shelf, is through these holes. Then using some rope that you can see here that we get from the Dollar Tree, the nautical rope, I just went ahead and I pulled it through, and I tied a knot on either side, actually on the outside so you could see the knot, because I really liked that you could see the knot. And then I just pulled it up so that this could be the hanger, and here is this little shelf.
So I'm really excited to tell you guys about this video's collaboration. I have teamed up with a company called FlexiSpot. Okay, as a YouTuber, all YouTubers have to edit their videos, but there's so many people out there that use computers. I know a lot of us have like desktops I know a lot of us have laptops and tablets, but I still use a good old-fashioned desktop, and I love my desktop. So this company sent me one of those risers that you can use, and so you can stand up to do your video editing, or you can sit down. I'm specifically using video editing because that is what I primarily use my computer for. So I just wanted to give them a shout out and show you guys exactly how this works and how easy this is to set it up.
This is exactly what it looks like when I pulled it out of the box, and you want to make sure that your desk is big enough to support this and will hold the size of this. You put the little tray on by pulling those latches right down. That's the keyboard tray. The lever that I'm pointing at is the lever that raises it up, and you guys, my mind was blown. I did not expect this to be bad in any way. I was very excited and I knew it was going to be amazing. However, I was just so thoroughly impressed with this. Look at the flexibility that has. It's got control, yet it was not hard to force it up or down at all. It was almost spring-loaded and it came right up. So the idea for this is that you can work at your desk sitting down or standing up. We don't have a home office right now currently. We are in the process of getting ready to build our own home. So right now, my desk is in the corner of my bedroom. And I really like that because I figured there was a lot of you out there who are similar to me where you don't have a home office. So I wanted you to see that you don't need a home office or anything. If you have a way to put a computer or a desktop in your home, then you could absolutely use this space. I love that you can use this sitting down or standing up, and that it will help. Just it's great for back support, it's great for leg support. I was very, very much impressed with this. They came with these little clips so that you could use these to tie around the cords so that it just made everything a lot better. And then also this little cord sleeve, it just all makes everything pack away and look so nice. So you can use this while you're sitting down or while you're standing up. You can see that it's fully raised right there. It's ergonomic, it's awesome for your back. It is amazing.
And that was it, guys. It was amazing. I absolutely love it. I actually edited this video using that mount, and it was awesome. Thank you so much to FlexiSpot. If you guys have any questions or want any more information, definitely be sure to check the description box down below. Everything you need will be down in the description box below. Thank you so much to FlexiSpot, and let's finish the rest of the video.
For this next project, I took this piece of wood that I got from Lowe's. It is a 1" by 2" size, even skinnier than a 1" it's like a 1/2 inch by 2 inches wide, and I cut them into 9" equal pieces, and there were 5 of them total. I used my chop saw to cut them down, and then using this little piece of wood here that is about the size of paint stick wood, I used 2 of those for the sides. I got everything sanded down, and then I used my staple gun to staple these pieces onto the side to make this almost elongated looking little palette board. I lost the footage of me staining it, but I used some gray stain to stain it, and then I also drilled some holes on the top because I wanted to use the rope to hang this one as well. And then I wanted to add just a little bit more touch to this, so I used some white chalk paint, and I distressingly painted this onto each one of these planks. And I left the sides the way that they were on purpose because once the paint was dry, I also sanded it just to give it a little bit more of a rustic look. I wanted the paint to look a little bit dry brushed. Then I sanded this down as well, and then I took some floral that you can get from the Dollar Tree, these cotton sprigs, and then the greenery is from Hobby Lobby, 50% off. And I arranged these together in the way that I like them and tied them together with some jute twine down there at the bottom so that they would stay together. Then I used some burlap ribbon that you can get from the Dollar Tree to make just a little bow. Tied some of the nautical rope at the top using the knots on the outside again. Tied the bow on, and then I just glued this right here to the front. And that was it. This one was so simple. I wanted a summer wreath to hang on my door, so I got this little twig wreath form from the Dollar Tree. The greenery is from Walmart, and the popsicle sticks are also from Walmart, and that burlap is also from Walmart. And the ribbon, most of this is actually a Walmart project. But I went ahead and I cut these popsicle sticks ends off so that I could make this little sign, and I ended up gluing that together and of course staining it. Using the color Espresso Stain, I went ahead and I got those popsicle stick stained because I wanted that farmhouse look. I went in and I cut up the greenery so that I could add this to the wreath. I used the burlap to make a very large bow. At first I thought that I would really like this size of this bow, but now that I have it, I think that I would have, next time if I make this again, I think that I would do the bow just a smidge smaller. Using my silhouette cutting machine, I cut out the word, this was just one of the decals that you could buy from the store. It says hello, and I went ahead and I used this vinyl as a stencil, and then I just sponged this on with the white chalk paint in the Folk Art brand. And then I glued my bow on and then started putting in my greenery in the top and the bottom around my bow. This actually was a Pinterest inspired wreath. I really liked how this looked on Pinterest. So I tried to recreate it, but I added my own little touches to it. And then I used some of that black and white ribbon to make a second bow. Glued that over the burlap. And then it was time to hang my little sign. So I used some jute twine to make some knots so that you could see that on the front of the sign. And then I just pulled that through because the wood was it's popsicle stick, so it splits so easily. So I just used my X-Acto knife and just kind of punched a little hole through the wood, fed the jute twine through there, and then I just used it to hang it off from around the bow, but I did glue it because I didn't want it to flap in the wind. This next project is pretty much using everything that you can see from the Dollar Tree. There was some greenery from Walmart, but other than that, all of this was from the Dollar Tree. So these are the medium-sized canvases that you can get at the Dollar Tree. I took the canvas off. There are 9 of them, and I will be making a window. And I also use these arrows that you can get at the Dollar Tree, and this was for a little pop-out window, a window box that I'm gonna put at the base of this window. So I went ahead and I put these all together, sanded them just a little bit because I wanted them to be smooth. And then I put them all together and I used my staple gun to staple them all together. I also cut off the arrow part from these arrow signs. I cut off the arrow head part from these arrow signs, and then I glued these 2 sides together because they actually made the perfect length for the width of the window. And then I cut one of the arrow signs in half, and that triangular piece made the perfect little pop out for the little tray down at the bottom for floral. And then I went ahead and I got everything stained. And then I used some chicken wire to staple it to the back. Once everything was stained, dried, and stapled, I took it inside and I used some white chalk paint to distress it and give it a little bit of a dry brush technique look. And then I used some foam that you can get from the Dollar Tree, the floral foam. I glued that down into the bottom, and then I just cut up a bunch of this greenery that I got from Walmart and Hobby Lobby, and I just put it all in the bottom there. For this next project, I used this piece of trim that you could get from Lowe's, and we used our table saw to cut it down exactly in half. And then I used this excess piece of wood that my husband had left over from building some shelves. And I measured the tops off so that I could cut them at an angle. I used my jigsaw to get the angles exactly like I wanted. Then that trim piece that you saw me cut in half, I then cut it down to smaller pieces to go onto the top of this because I wanted this to look like it was like a roof on a house. I actually made 2 of these. One of them is an exact replica, just in smaller scale. And then I glued everything together using some Gorilla Glue and some hot glue. I glued my little roof on, and then it was time to get these painted. The smaller one I went ahead and I painted white with white chalk paint, and then the larger one I did white with just a little bit of black mixed in because I wanted that steel gray color, and then I just made sure to give this a full coverage coat of paint. Then once that was dry, I went out and I sanded some of the paint down, especially around the edges, because I wanted it to look really distressed. I wanted to put some words on here and I wanted to make sure that they were straight, so I used a chalk line with measurements on the side to give me a little chalk line to almost look like lined paper so that I could use that to help me put my words on straight. It worked out perfectly because once the words were on, I was able to just brush that chalk right off. So then using my silhouette, I cut out some decals, and one of them I painted on, the other did the decals. And you can see here it says, "If these walls could talk, oh, the stories they would tell." That is such a fun saying. I know that it's from a video or from a movie. One of my viewers actually commented and said that I think she said it might be from Ghost. Demi Moore says it, I think. And then the other one, I just wanted it to say "Our Home," and I put these two together, and here's how they turned out. For this next project, this is just a 9 by 11 frame that you can get from the Dollar Tree. And right here, I went ahead and I cut these smaller pieces into a frame that fit inside the frame from the Dollar Tree here. So you can see that I went ahead and I just used my chop saw and I just did some angle cuts and I just put them in there so that they measured a 9 by, I just measured them so that they fit into this frame. Then after that was done, I went ahead and I glued those together and stapled them. And then I measured the middle because I'm making a piece of lattice work right here. And so I used my measurements to make sure that I was getting everything right in the middle. Then using these thinner pieces of wood that actually my husband cut down using our table saw, they were the perfect size, so I was like, oh, I know exactly what I can do with these. I actually saw this project in somebody's home and I took a picture of it because I was like, I totally want to challenge myself and DIY that. And it was definitely a challenge, but I love how this ended up turning out. Everything was cut and ready to go. I got everything glued together. I let that dry overnight so that it was good and ready to go. And then I used some white chalk paint to get everything painted, and I wanted it to have just a little bit of a dry brush technique. I wanted it to have just a little bit of a dry brush look. And then using my silhouette, this is just one of the designs that you can get from the Silhouette Design Studio. I put this onto the glass of the frame. Once that was done, I ended up painting the frame. The frame was originally black. I painted it white, and then I used some Waverly wax to give it a little bit of a distressed, aged look. And then it was time to put it all together. I just used some glue and some hot glue, and I put the glass in first, glued the glass in first. I love how this one turned out, and this one was such a challenge for me, and I love challenging myself to do these hard ones. For this project, I ended up using this little home decal that you can get from Walmart. I used some leftover scrap wood. It's the outside frame is 2 by 1 inch wood, and I went ahead and I measured it out to a square frame, and then I used the lath board wood, which is just like the size of the paint sticks, and I cut them down to be the backs of my frame. So using these little corner holders, I went ahead and I put this together so that I could have a square frame. These corner holders are awesome. They make everything square for you. I will have them linked down below for you guys if you're interested in them, because they are amazing for your projects. And then I went ahead and I used the staple gun to get this all put together. Stapled the back pieces on, stained it. I made a smaller version of this, and then I used some black chalk paint to distress the home, just to give it a little bit more dimension so that it stood out just a little bit more. And then using some lamb's ear that I got from Walmart and some greenery, I went ahead and I just pulled a couple sprigs and put them together, tied them with a piece of jute twine, and then made a little bow. And then I glued that into the top of the sign, and then the home part into the bottom of the sign. I set that aside, and then I just wanted a little bit of framed greenery for a little accent frame to go on the side. So then I went ahead and I drilled a hole in the bottom so that the stem could go through to help this stand up just a little bit easier.
for watching. I hope you enjoyed all of these farmhouse DIY projects that I did. And this, like I said, I'm so sad to see summer go, but I figured this would be a great way to say goodbye. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please consider subscribing if you would like to. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below, and please be sure to go check out FlexiSpot. Everything is linked down below, like I said before. Make sure you go check them out, especially you YouTubers and creators, because it's going to be a game changer for your editing. Thanks guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.